The member seeking a call.
Mr.
David
Speaker,
Clendon.
yes, I am. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Sir, I'm pleased to take a call on these two bills, these cognate bills. And could I say in passing that the Greens in fact do support this process. With all due respect to the previous speaker, we are part of the all-party agreement that this was an appropriate process. The intention of the process is to get the bills through more quickly. The third readings, of course, will always be separate to ensure that the iwi hapu affected have their moment solely for themselves. And we do absolutely support this, sir. As I say, with all due respect to the former speaker, we think it is a good process. There is a great deal of legislation. People have waited a long time for these bills. It's timely to get them through the process as quickly and as smoothly as we can. So I'd certainly add to others greeting the people of Ngati Manuhiri and Ngati Whatua or Orakei to this House to witness this step forward. I will confine my comments to the Ngati Whatua settlement. As an Aucklander for most of my life, indeed, we all know it's Auckland's finest city, New Zealand's finest city, of course. The city exists only due to the generosity and significant hospitality shown to the early settlers by Ngati Whatua, the gifting of land, the sharing of resources, and I think that's a debt that we need to acknowledge as we go forward. Clearly the generosity, the hospitality was not reciprocated entirely, and that clearly has led to the situation we're in today, where we endeavour to make some restitution for the very shabby treatment that Ngati Whatua endured over many years. Perhaps the low point of the relationship between Ngati Whatua or Orakei and the Crown, the government, in modern terms at least, was in the 1950s when their homes, their whare were destroyed and burnt, where their tauranga waka had, their fishing grounds were compromised by sewage pipes and the like. And I think it's to the great credit of Ngati Whatua that the last 30 or so years there has been a reassertion of their mana, of their right to be there, of their right to be involved in the ongoing future of Auckland. Auckland's often called a city of sails, and that's a great slogan, a great brand, but equally it's a city of maunga. Maunga whao, maunga kia kia, puki tāpapa. These are the icons of Auckland, and clearly we're grateful, I think, and ought to be grateful to Ngati Whatua for having revealed to us some of the history of those places, the significance of those places, which were all the centres of settlement that supported very large populations of people. Tamaki Makaurau has been a prosperous place historically and hopefully will be again. But these are important sites, and it's a great credit to Ngati Whatua that increasingly they are visible. I recall last year attending the opening of a cycleway on Mount Roskill, Puki Tāpapa. And that was a good thing for many reasons, but it was important and significant that Ngati Whatua were there from the moment they were part of the design of that infrastructure. There is a distinctly Māori flavour to the landscape architecture, to the trail itself. They were there to give their blessing to the project on the opening day, and that added a real richness and a value. And I think it is something that increasingly Aucklanders are acknowledging, the value and the benefit that is coming from moving to a much healthier relationship based on the treaty. That's been mentioned already, of course, Takaparawhau occupation in the late 70s. The tragedy that was associated with that, there was the loss, as we'll recall, through an accident of a young child's life, which was a significant tragedy. It's a great credit, particularly to the Hawk whānau, but all of Ngati Whatua, that they took that stand. That was a turning point, not only in Ngati Whatua history, not only in Auckland's history, that was a turning point in the history of this country. It was a moment when a hapu, when an iwi stood and said, we do not step back from here. They stood alongside other Māori, they stood alongside Pākehā of, I dare say, every political persuasion. It was a rare moment, it was a turning point, and we have to, I think, acknowledge that historical moment, which ultimately led to a victory. We have seen a resurgence of Ngati Whatua, their presence in the city. They now manage a significant property portfolio. There is an emergent generation of leadership, people like Ngāti Blair, who I've had the pleasure of knowing for some years. I've been very happy as a volunteer and purely for my own pleasure to be involved in some of the planting days on Whenua Rangatira, to see Ngati Whatua young people under their leadership running event days, doing a zero waste program, which not only teaches young people skills, generates some income, but proves that young people in the cities can still respond very well to the leadership of the iwi and hapu in very positive ways. The Whenua Rangatira has always been an asset to Auckland. The revegetation program, the expansion of that land with some of the provisions of this bill, giving Ngati Whatua increasingly some management rights, some control, indeed ownership of the maunga of other sites around Auckland is going to continue to add richness. I think we owe them a great debt of gratitude. We look forward to it becoming an even more dynamic and beautiful city. It is a very pleasant, it's a pleasure to be part of progressing this bill, and we look forward to supporting it. Kia ora.
I'll put the questions. The question is that the Ngati Manuhiri Claims Settlement Bill be read a first time. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Sorry, it's a member calling for a party vote.
Point of order, sir.
A point of order?
The Green Party wants to record our vote as an abstention. I assume then that it is necessary to call for a
party vote. Yes, the member must call for a party vote.
So I've called for
party vote called for. The clerk will conduct a party vote.
New Zealand National.
59 votes in favour.
New Zealand Labour.
30 votes in favour.
Green Party.
10 votes abstain.
New Zealand First.
8 votes in favour.
Māori Party.
Tokotoru e tautoko ana.
Mana.
1 vote in favour.
Act New Zealand.
1 vote in favour.
United Future.
1 vote in favour.
The ayes are 103, the noes are nil, abstentions 10. The motion is agreed to.
Ngati Manuhiri Claims Settlement Bill, first reading.
The question is that the Ngati Manuhiri Claims Settlement Bill be considered by the Maori Affairs Committee. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. Move to the second question, and that is that the Ngati Whatua Orakei Claims Settlement Bill be read a first time. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it.
Ngati Whatua Orakei Claims Settlement Bill, first reading.
The question is that the Ngati Whatua Orakei Claims Settlement Bill be considered by the Maori Affairs Select Committee. Those of that opinion will say aye. Aye. Contrary, no. The ayes have it. If the whānau in the gallery were of a mind to do a wiata, now is the time for that. Call Government Order of the Day number 10.
Rongo Whakata Claims Settlement.